A reading of the Gospel of Consciousness by me, Daniel Colagio. To see oneself and others as imperfect is ignorance. To see oneself and others as perfect is ignorance. To see oneself and others is ignorance. To see only oneself is wisdom. Francis Lucille. This is revelation, not the adding of something, no upgrading. This is not doctrine. This is not religion. This is not self-improvement. This is the reality, which is hearing these words right now, reading about itself. Now, approaching 40, life feels different, is different. I'm writing this book now because I couldn't hold back anymore. It's not personal. It's a burst of being, from being, moving for its own joy. Best to get out of the way. I'll give you some story about Daniel. It might be helpful. I was brought up Christian. My father has been a Lutheran pastor for many years. I was brought up listening to my mother playing the organ at church most Sundays. Hell, I almost became a priest. I remember, as a child, knowing something wasn't right. Although I didn't have the words, I was conscious of ever-presence of being, but most of what I was told about it didn't make sense. You know? One of my first intimations of truth was when I was about, say, 8 years old. I was walking through the narthex of the church entrance with my family, and just above the door to the sanctuary were the words, Christ alone, faith alone, Scripture alone. I had an intimation. If God is one, why are there three things? If truth is indivisible, why are we dividing things? These weren't the exact words of my thought at that age, but the intimation had that essence. That one moment set me up for a lifetime of disappointment. Another moment of really deep impact, yet in the other direction, was walking through the same room of the church, where every single person would greet Pastor Michael before entering the sanctuary. I'll never forget. We hugged, and he looked at me in the eyes and said, "How are you doing, buddy?" What was so different about this interaction from all the other ones in my childhood was this. When he looked into my eyes, I could tell he was looking past all the stuff and looking at me. It was the first time I'd ever felt seen, been seen. That stuck with me unavoidably since then. Usually I've found the conversation of being stays silent. People will talk about God, source, and spirituality. But the connection of any of these things to, as Francis says, the reality that is hearing these words right now is left out, not noticed, ignored. Why is that? It's because of the belief and sense of separation. How is God supposed to be infinite if her being is not linked to ours? What kind of gospel is it if the being of the source of all things is not our being and no different? If the open secret is not total unity of being with all that is, why should I listen? Growing up a Christian, almost every ounce of conversation and experience drove home the belief of separation. God is something else, somewhere else, and we're not going to be okay unless we're interested in this God. In fact, you just have to accept that you're probably going to hell if you don't believe. Some gospel, huh? Does that sound like good news? The foundation under the gospel message is just that. You are at a distance from God, and you can't do anything about that. But you can believe in the fact that Jesus, who is not a piece of garbage like yourself, died for your sinfulness. Psst, he's God, by the way. And the wicked you will inherit by the sacrifice, eternal, whatever that means, life, and go to heaven. Perfect setup for an aneurysm, a stroke, or at least heart palpitations, in my opinion. So I'm still a piece of garbage, will be until my death, and I'll at least not be in eternal torment for eternity after my death, the poor wretch that I am. Great. Where do I sign up? Makes me thirsty. Is that why they give you water? Give you the wound and the medicine in the same breath? If it's truth, why do I have to be scared of hellfire in order to become aware of its reality? Seems like sketchy sales without truth supporting it at all. I don't need a whip. I need tea and a friend. I need someone to look into my eyes and know my being and love. The reality that is hearing these words right now is God.